Welcome to ESPN's High School Football Scoreboard Show's YouTube channel. That's right, our YouTube channel. I'm Heath Ziglar. This is Baylin Trujillo. We're at Graffiti, Junction in College Park. Our show sponsors, big hats off to them for letting us come in and eat their food. We're gonna be trying some of the new flatbreads tonight. But let's talk about what we're gonna be doing on Tuesday nights. So every Tuesday around this time, we're gonna drop a YouTube video on the RPI points. There's gonna be some winners and losers, who's in, who's out. Baylin, I know you're pumped up about this.
Yeah, I am. Just by looking at the results already from 2 o'clock when they release, man, there's some shocking teams that are either in or out. We've already had several coaches reach out to us before the show even started about, if they're upset or, they're happy or where they're standing or even where they are, asking us for the information. Again, it's all out there for everybody to see on FHSA websites and Florida high school sports and stuff. So, again, check those out. But, yes, every Tuesday here from Graffiti Junction, our sponsor, we're going to be talking about the RPI points, why it's important, who's in, who's out, who's the surprise teams, who's sneaking up, who's getting eliminated week in and week out, Heath. I'm very excited. How does this even happen? How does even the points happen? How does that all work? Because, again, I'm new to this.
So it's a new system this year, which the RPI is basically 3 components: your winning percentage, your opponent's winning percentage, and your opponent's winning percentage. You add up all those factors, and you get an RPI index number. And basically, wherever you sit against your teams in your region will determine if you're worthy of a wild card spot. So we're going to get into Class 8A here in just a second. We'll go 8A through 4A tonight. Stay tuned for that. Okay, Baylin, let's take a look at the 8A classification here for Central Florida. That's going to be region number 1 that we're going to start with. Seminole High School comes in at number 2. Apopka High School's in at number 4. Also in at number 6 is West Orange High School. And the surprising one, the shocker, Timber Creek in at the 8th spot right now. Now, assuming district champs will obviously be able to jump in and replace one of these teams, but if the playoffs were to end right now today without district championships, Timber Creek, West Orange, Apopka, and Seminole are in the 8A classifications. Of the teams that are not in the top 8, Baylin, who are the guys on the outside looking in that you would say will be inside the top 8 come week 11?
I believe that Winter Park will be a good one. Again, they play Timber Creek. That might be a district championship matchup. We also have Evans on the outside looking in. They play Lake Mary, who's also at the, in the conversation a little bit. That might be an elimination game this week. You also have DeLand, who we talked about, maybe the Seminole team of last year that has a great record, has pretty good wins, but they might not get in the top 8. But I do think Winter Park is the one that is outside right now of the top 8 that can get into the final 8 if they do, beat a Timber Creek. But as you said right now, Timber Creek is in. It's a shocker, but I've been picking them. I'm high on Timber Creek. Like I said, all they got to do is really beat Winter Park, and Coach Zig knows how to beat the upset opponents at the end to win district. So we'll see how that all ends up. But Winter Park's got the best chance.
Yeah, a couple shockers on my side. I didn't think Lake Mary would be as low,
right?
But obviously there's room for them to move up. But I think right now, in the end, Timber Creek and Winter Park, it's going to come down to them for the district championship. We already said we don't think 2 teams get in from this region, from that district. But just to recap quickly, and then we'll move on. We've got Seminole High School in at number 2, Apopka High School in at number 4, West Orange High School in at number 6, and rounding out the top 8 is Timber Creek High School. Let's move on to some other 8A schools. Okay, moving on to Region 2 in the 8A classification. We've got Dr. Phillips locally coming in at the number 2 spot in that region. Osceola is at the number 5 spot in that region, and that's really all the local teams that are currently in who are going to get at-large bids if they don't win their district. We do, however, to expect Dr. Phillips and Osceola to win their districts, but Baylin, what's the team that we're missing? It's right on the outside looking in.
Lake Nona. Lake Nona High School sits at number 10. They're 2 spots away from being in the playoff race. Again, they have to upset an Osceola team later in the season to win that district to get an automatic bid. I unfortunately don't see that happening. It can happen, but I think Osceola is playing good football, which is why they're at number 5. Dr. Phillips solidified themselves in the playoff race. They are going to win that district unless Olympia can upset them this week, which I don't see happening. But like I said, usually the teams that are in this region usually right where they need to be. But like I said, Lake Nona has the outside shot at making it, but they do have to have a couple upset wins to get in that top 8.
I think of the local teams, Lake Nona has the best shot, and they're actually not in a bad spot. They're sitting at number 10, and we don't see them winning their district anyway, so they really just have to overcome 2 teams in that region. I'd say to Coach Paradiso, win as many games as you can going out. I mean, it sounds like simple advice, but that's really all that matters right now. Don't worry about what other teams are doing. I think Lake Nona can still slide in at an 8 seed.
Well, when you're in. That's
when you're in. All right, moving on to 7A football. We'll start with region number 1. No surprise here. Edgewater High School is going to take the top spot there, leading in the RPI points. Another team that's in, which is kind of a shocker that they're this high, is Wekiva.
Yeah.
Wekiva's sitting at the number 4 spot in the RPI points, which means because they probably won't win that district because of the loss to Edgewater, that they would be the highest ranked RPI point team to get a wild card bid, which means Wekiva right now sitting at most likely a 5 seed.
Wow.
So that's pretty high. Those are the only 2 local teams right now that are currently inside the magic number of the top 8. But Baylin, there's a couple teams that are just on the outside. Who are they?
Yeah, Lake Howell sits right at number 9, right outside of the top 8 teams go to the playoffs as of today. Lake Howell's a big district championship game, at least what we would consider the district championship game this Friday night against Winter Springs. 2 spots underneath Lake Howell is East River, a team that Lake Howell beat last week. Like I said, Lake Howell has the tiebreaker over all those schools in that district. If Lake Howell takes care of business this Friday, I believe they find themselves in the top 8, but they have to take care of business against Winter Springs. If they lose, then they come a 3-way tie. Let's say East River beats Winter Springs. Now we're fighting for that district championship, and East River may slip in the top 8. But as it stands right now, Lake Howell is right at number 9, and there are a couple wins, maybe a district championship, maybe this Friday night win away from getting into the top 8.
I wouldn't be too concerned if I'm Lake Howell, even though I'm on the outside looking in right now in terms of RPI points, because in my opinion, I think if they can win this district with a win this weekend, and if they get the win, they're going to be in no matter what.
No matter what.
So I wouldn't stress too hard about Lake Howell just being on the outside. The team, I think, that has some ground to make up locally is East River.
Yeah.
I mean, can East River crack in?
They need a lot of help.
It'll be interesting to see. So just to recap, for 7A Region 1, Edgewater is at the top. Wekiva is at number 4. Lake Howell is just on the outside looking in, but they're in the driver's seat in their district, and that's probably even more important than the RPI points. Let's move on to Region 2. All right, let's move on to 5A classification, Region 2. At the top of this list, no surprise again here, Jones High School's leading the RPI points for 5A Region 2. Another team that's in there is actually Bishop Moore, sitting at the 6th spot. Bishop Moore, so as of right now being in the same districts with Jones, they're having to rely on that wild card bid. And it looks pretty good for them right now because they're sitting comfortably inside the top 8 at number 6. Baylin, I know that you follow Jones pretty closely. Those are really the only 2 teams, Jones and Bishop Moore, that are in this region that have chances to make the playoffs. I'd love to see 2 get in. You want to talk about Jones a bit?
Yeah, Jones is rightfully so number 1 in that region. I feel like they are the best team in 5A. I'll say it right now on record. I have no issues with saying that. They have proven week in and week out. Yes, they did lose to a good Edgewater team who's number 1 in their region, so it all makes sense. Jones is playing good football right now. I think they take care of business, so we know that they're at the top of the list. And you have Bishop Moore, who got a blowout loss to Jones, but really they had a tough first couple games. Now they're really clicking. Now they're starting to win and win big. I think Bishop Moore does get that final wild card spot.
Yeah,
we talked about Bishop Moore a little bit. We like that squad. They're well coached. They got great discipline. They just ran into a pretty stout and impressive Edgewater and Jones football team. And then also a team outside of the state. So, like I said, Bishop Moore is not a bad football team. I do think that they get in the top 8, but Jones definitely claims number 1. And you know what? I'm going to say crazy prediction, even because I do that stuff. I think Jones is going to go far, and they might see a state championship berth just based off these points alone and keep that number 1 spot. So we'll see how it all ends up, but Jones is number 1 and Bishop Moore number 6.
A team to keep your eye on that we don't talk a lot about that's in Lake County is going to be Tavares High School. Coach Gary Duggar's done great work down there. They're sitting at 3-3 right now, just a few spots outside of the top 8.
They're right there.
They're also in that same district with Jones and Bishop Moore. I'd love to see 3 teams get in from that district. It's going to take a lot. They're going to have to win out. They're going to have to go 7-3 to get it done. But maybe Coach Duggar can get it done out there. That's Tavares High School, which needs to move up about 3 or 4 spots to get in. But it looks like Bishop Moore and Jones are in comfortably in 5A Region 2. Lastly, let's go to 4A Region 2, where Cocoa Tigers are actually at the very top again. No surprise there. They have the highest RPI right now for the number 2 region in 4A, which is going to kind of wrap up our local teams that are actually in the top 8. And I do want to add something to this, that just because we say you're in the top 8 does not guarantee you a spot in the playoffs. Right. But you can just kind of roughly gauge that your top 8 teams in the region will make the playoffs. We understand that there can be a district champion that comes from outside, and which would bump down some of those teams. But just as a rough gauge, we're going to go with our top 8 from here on out. But as it looks right now, those are the teams right there in Central Florida that are definitely going to be in the hunt. And we talked about some of the teams that are on the outside looking in that could make the big moves. Every Tuesday, we're going to drop you a video just like this, which is going to explain to you what teams have moved in, what teams have moved out, what teams have been eliminated, what teams still have a chance, Baylin.
Yeah, Heath, like we said, we just went over all the teams. Again, just because we didn't talk about your team today doesn't mean next week we won't be talking about your team or the following weeks after that. There's still 4 weeks left of high school football. Things are right in crunch time. This is when it all matters. Again, RPI points come out today for the first time. Look forward to talking to you guys every Tuesday and Thursday night for an hour each time. And Heath, this was a great first show.
Yeah.
Guys,
so big
go home.
Big thanks to Graffiti Junction again for letting us try the flatbreads.
Yes, Heath, what did you have, by the way? What was your flatbread?
I had the cheesesteak flatbread, and I know, Baylin, you went with the
Hawaiian flatbread. That was really good.
I think we both agree, though, that the cheesesteak flatbread was the winner tonight.
Definitely.
So if there was a playoff winner, a team that's going to make it to the next level, it's going to be the cheesesteak flatbread from Graffiti Junction in College Park. I'm Heath Ziglar. That's Baylin Trujillo for ESPN 580 Orlando's High School Football Scoreboard Show. Thank you.
Peace out.